Hello, it is 3 o'clock and take a minute to let people join. I know some people were looking forward to this, so don't want to get started too quick and they can hop in. Maybe something's holding them up. That happens sometimes. I get that. I really do. But I am here today, as promised yesterday and announced earlier. I am starting a new thing with these shelter-in-place videos. Today is day 53 for me. And for those who don't know me, I am Danielle Burnock from danielleburnock.com and Love Yourself from Survive to Thrive. And I am going to be sharing from my new book. I'm going to be reading a little today, but starting next week, I am going to be sharing little parts of it because in this book, Because You Matter, How to Take Ownership of Your Life So You Can Really Live, and I was told that I need to get it so you can read it. So I took a picture, flipped it backwards, and put it there so you can read it. So that was one way to get it so it wasn't backwards for you. It's backwards there, but on these videos, it flips it around. So I am going to be reading a little bit of the beginning, a little excerpt from this for you today. And next week, I am setting up the days where some of the people who are in this book that I interviewed for this book, we're going to come on here and read their stories to you. It was they each have a little section in the book, like a little chapter of their own, and we're going to be doing it together, reading it together, and so you can get a taste of this book. And so then you can run out and grab a copy on Amazon, because I don't know if your bookstores are open where you're at. Ours are not yet, and hopefully that will be soon. But I'm going to read to you a little bit from here. I have 3 little parts I'm going to read. I'm going to read the dedication, and I have a little section, it's not even a page and a half long, called Note to Reader, and then chapter 1, which is entitled, Why This Book? Because not every book is for every person, and this is a self-help / memoir book because it's stories of people for you to learn from people's stories, but also it's broken down into little bitty sections so that you can help yourself to reclaim your life from what tried to destroy it. This is to help people reclaim their lives from emotional trauma and from childhood trauma. And so I will start with the dedication. To the wounded heart, fighting for freedom, with tears streaming down your face, you are a warrior. That's so true. If tending to inner wounds takes a lot of courage and work. And so if you've chosen to address those things in your soul, you are a warrior, and I champion you. Note to reader. This book is a work of love to empower you in life. When I began writing this for you, I used my story alone to help reclaim your life from childhood emotional trauma. Having fought for my own healing and freedom, I'm compelled to help others gain what I've found. However, my story alone isn't enough. You deserve more. I'm certain there are things from my life that will help you, but not everything will because we're all different. To enlarge your experience and provide you with more tools, I've included the wisdom and stories from others. In these pages, you'll find 100 quotes from various people. Some are famous and some are not. And the ones without last names are people from the Bible. I've compiled them separately in a PDF for you, free upon request, as a thank you for purchasing my book. I've also gathered stories through the interviews of 10 amazing people, men and women, black and white, millennials to baby boomers, with varying applications of faith. Taking ownership of what you believe is one thing I touch on in this book, because everyone believes something. I am a Christian but maybe you're not. And I respect what you choose to believe. At the close of each chapter are key points, an optional prayer, and a place for notes, which of course we can't do that when we're reading, right? Between each owning chapter are the stories from my interviews. You'll find more information about each person and what they have to offer in the endnotes in the back of the book. As you go through this book, take what works for you and set aside the rest. More than anything else, I desire you will fully own your life. It's yours, and it's your right to do so. I wish you freedom. Love, Danielle. See, that's why I call myself that lady on the internet who loves you. Chapter 1, why this book? As I said, not every book is for every person, so I go through a little bit here, just this one chapter, for you to know, is this book for you? Only I can change my life. No one can do it for me. Carol Burnett. My dear reader, you've been given one life, and it can be amazing if you take ownership of it. Life is more than performing daily tasks and subtracting bad days from good days. Your life is worth more than enduring hard seasons, hoping for better ones, and suffering trauma. When Jesus told his disciples, "In this world you will have trouble," he wasn't delivering a mandate or providing an excuse to live in constant trouble or misery. Murphy's Law, anything that can go wrong will go wrong, isn't a law. It's a negative state of mind that'll rob your life of joy. You don't have to live that way. Jesus also said, "I am come that they might have life and that they might have it more abundantly." More abundantly. Not just abundantly, but more. You can experience this abundance, but it's not automatic. Jesus also said might. There isn't a guarantee. It requires you owning it. And that's why the subtitle of the book. Look at your life, this one life you get to live. How's it going for you? Are you happy, content, satisfied, living the dream? Or are you struggling, disappointed, emotionally tired, and disillusioned? Are you dealing with shame, chronic pain, frustration, feeling miserable? Do you wonder when it's going to get easier? When are things going to go your way? I have good news for you. You can change your life if you want to. The key is in your hand. Your life matters. Loving your life because it's precious to God honors him, Danielle Burnett. Owning your life is how you'll find joy, power, satisfaction, and even salvation. Yes, salvation. Not just the eternal when you die kind of salvation, but the here and now preserving of who you are, the real you, the true you, the precious eternal soul God created you to be. God loves your soul and wants you to love it too. This book will challenge your thinking. Don't let that scare you. Growth requires both learning and unlearning. When you're done reading, you'll feel emancipated. You'll know how to break free of life-sucking condemnation, soul pain, and perpetual misery. Are you ready to reclaim the life you were born to live? It's a journey. A year from now, you will wish you had started today. Karen Lamb. This journey isn't easy or fast. You didn't get where you are now in a moment, and becoming your true whole self isn't a work of magic. This project will be extensive, but worth everything you have. I began my journey unaware of how the term ownership applied to my life. In 2014, I released my first book, Emerging with Wings, to the world. I took a step in vulnerability I'd never taken before. It was both exhilarating and terrifying. Shame held me captive, causing me to hide most of my life. Sharing my story, warts and all, made me feel like I stripped off all my clothes and ran around the world naked. Yes, definitely, that's how I felt. The way people responded shocked me. I touched them far deeper than I dared to hope. The positive reviews, texts, and emails were astounding. And discovering my book, my story, was being used in a sermon boggled my mind. Not long after, I learned how fragile my new understanding was when asked to speak to a group of women. Instead of accepting the offer, I recoiled in fear. The lost moment and my fearful response plagued me. Why wasn't I able to accept this amazing opportunity? Isn't this why I shared my story? If I had emerged with wings, as my book said, then this wouldn't be happening. What was wrong with me? I thought I was different. I was. What these questions revealed was a need for more growth. Enter the story of a newly emerged butterfly and how it relates to our lives. Learning from the butterfly. You must want to fly so much that you are willing to give up being a caterpillar. Trina Paulus. My first book is a journey of becoming free from childhood trauma and finding my value. I compared my transformation to a caterpillar changing into a butterfly and emerging from its chrysalis. The imagery stood. When I published my story, I did emerge. What I wrote was true. I was different. A transformation had occurred. I was no longer who I was before. I was in a new place with wrong information. I thought newly emerged butterflies just flew away. They don't. The new me was like a newly emerged butterfly. When a butterfly emerges, it's completely intact, but it's unable to fly. How does a butterfly truly live if it never flies? It doesn't. The wings of a new butterfly are weak and wet. They must be prepared for flight. They need to hang upside down with plenty of room for the wings to expand. They need to pump blood or hemolymph into the veins, their wings, so they can expand to their full size. Their wings must dry. They must exercise their flight muscles. I laughed when I learned that. I didn't know butterflies had muscles, did you? Finally, the butterfly must expel meconium, or poop, which is the waste remains of its last meal from when it was a caterpillar. During this process, the new butterfly looks like it's doing nothing, but it's quite busy. Likewise, when I emerged, I couldn't fly. I needed to prepare my proverbial wings. During my writing process, multiple transformative things occurred. Revelations, realizations, and courage to become vulnerable, like doing things like this, reading my book live on Facebook. If you would have said I was be doing this in 6 years, I would have thought you were nuts. I went through the publishing process and still the fear was there. On the day I released it, I was not fit to fly. I needed to do several things. Own this new life like a butterfly prepares its wings. Give myself the time to see from this new perspective and let these new things sink in like the butterfly hangs upside down. Give myself the grace and the space I need for this new process, like the butterfly needs room to expand. Build new mindsets like the butterfly pumps blood into its wings. Solidify my new beliefs like the butterfly exercises its muscles. And like the butterfly needs to poop before it can fly, I needed to get rid of some crap in my life. Only after doing so could I move on to learn and become skilled in using my new wings. Danger! A masterpiece does not unfurl its wings immediately. It takes time. It will fly when it's ready. A.D. Posey. It's in this part of a butterfly's life it's most vulnerable to predators because it can't fly away. I was in a place of danger and didn't understand until it happened. An epic meltdown that changed my life. But let's back up. The year following the release and re-release of my first book was full of intensity, extremes in both circumstances and emotions. Happy versus sad, joy versus sorrow, elation versus grief. There was a lot of pressure. I'm going to just digress here for a minute. Because I'm going to talk about how I had trouble with these emotions. I was having mixed emotions. And I read on a psychology site today that they finally have proof that mixed emotions exist. I'm like, you just found proof of this? And that boggled my mind to read that today. And here I am writing about how I experienced that. How did they not know that? Back to the book. My husband worked out of town most of the year, trusting me with the oversight of his mother's care, who suffered from Alzheimer's. I didn't notice my personal storm properly within this personal one. The family one, sorry. That's why when you record things for Audible, you record and then you go back and you edit, and this is just live. I knew I was having many meltdowns here and there. My relationship with wine grew close, but I was focused on keeping one foot in front of the other. During this time, I put enormous pressure on myself to do and be all my family needed. I expected strong wings. I'd emerged. I demanded much of myself, but my wings were wet, and I still had crap in my life. It took that epic meltdown to open my eyes. The journey of taking ownership of one's life is long, lifelong. Yes, you make progress like I did, but if your objective is to read this book, and find a magic wand to happiness, you've got the wrong book. On the other hand, if you're tired of being miserable and ready to do something about it, can't read through tears. So you can enjoy this life you've been given, find fulfillment and come to the end of it without regret, then this is the book for you. Let me warn you though, if you don't allow yourself to heal and grow, you won't really live. In fact, if you don't, that life-sucking condemnation and soul pain will steal your life away. And consequently, you run the risk of leaving this life a bitter and fearful soul before your time. Please don't. The dare. Resistance to change is as powerful as resistance to creative effort. Tim Grohl. I dare you to take ownership of your life, who you are and who you want to be. Why dare? Because our humanity kicks against being told what to do. But when we're challenged, we are more likely to respond with the attitude, watch me. I hope you'll choose the latter response because it will serve you on your journey. I didn't understand I had the power to own anything in my life due to childhood trauma and lack of knowledge. Trauma creates soul wounds that leave a person feeling powerless. Loss of power strips a person of their sense of value. If you've suffered childhood trauma, I dare you to believe you can be healed and free. I did, and I believe you can too. Emotional trauma in adult also strips value and power. This book is about reclaiming your power and value. Reclaiming your power and your value. You have value. You matter. Where was I? It's about allowing yourself to be loved into wholeness. Humans are complex beings, so there are numerous things to address. I dare you to own all that rightfully belongs to you, because you matter. Loving and owning our lives is how we become whole, one piece of truth at a time. Danielle Burnock. In this book, we'll go deep. Deep into your value and where it comes from, your power and what it's for, how these things are owned and what they produce. We'll talk about why you matter, owning who you are right now and who you want to become. We'll discuss owning your courage, your choices, your right to be loved, your mindsets, your responses, your growth, and more, because you matter. There's a lot to learn and a lifetime to do it. But by the grace of God, I am what I am, and his grace to me was not without effect. Paul. When I started writing my first book, I knew I had a lot to share. I didn't know how much more I'd discover. I'm here. I was getting a phone call. Where was I? I am here with more to share. This time, however, I know there's much more to learn. Learning taught me the value of learning. For example, a while back, I started writing another book. I'd gathered valuable lessons and wanted to help people. I've learned many things the hard way, sometimes due to stubbornness, and other times to lack of information and tools. I soon realized I wasn't ready to write another book. I had to grow more. My wings weren't strong enough yet. I took writing courses and joined a group called Tribe Writers to learn about writing and how to get my message to my audience. When I published my first book, this wasn't the case. Instead, I was afraid. When it came time to publish, my greatest fear was someone would actually read it. Many someones have. It was through this process of sharing my messy life and seeing how it changed the lives of others that I realized my need to let go of the fear. In my first book, I shared deeply embarrassing and emotionally intimate parts of my life. I discovered those are the things people need. They connect us. Looking back, I can see when I started writing that second book, I was holding back, covering for self-protection. I had to stop hiding and live in the light, even when others might not like it, disagree, or judge me. I know so much more than I did before, and yet so little compared to what there is to be known. My wings are ready now. Bottom line, because in our pain, we must find each other. Mirror to mirror the grace of our shared humanity, the stunning broken beauty of our shared grief. And you can let your grief see my grief, and let our tears mingle into some kind of healing alchemy. And you'll know what I know, that we are never alone. I promise you. And you and me, we are never, ever alone. Jeanette LeBlanc. This book exists because God wants you to know how much you're loved, how much you matter. He wants you to heal, to grow, and embrace the abundant life designed for you. The title of this book was whispered to my heart by the Spirit of Grace, commissioning this message for you. Love said it best, because you matter. That's the end of chapter 1, and I hope you enjoyed it. And if this book is for you, then you can head to Amazon and order it. It comes in Kindle and in paperback. It is also available on audio on many platforms. Audible has not published it yet. They have had it for over 2 months. I've contacted them again, but you can get it on iBooks, and I forgot all the other platforms that do audiobooks, but it is available on audio, just Audible not yet. It's going there, I promise you. It has been sent there. And so I will hold it up. Here I have this picture, like I said before, so that you can see it the right way. It's not backwards. And next week I will be back. Well, I'll be here again tomorrow for my shelter in place videos I've been doing every day. Today's day 53 here in Michigan. And Monday, I will be here at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time reading the story of how Naomi took ownership of her life. And she will be here with me. And so I will see you tomorrow. That lady on the internet who says she loves you, Danielle Burnock from DanielleBurnock.com. Love yourself from Survive to Thrive. Again, Amazon, Because You Matter, Kindle, paper book, or you can get the audio, whichever is the way that you like to consume your books. And until tomorrow, I love you.